Okay, in this little tutorial I'm going to show how to fake a bevel effect to make this text here appear as if it's embedded inside of the plank. Currently working with Idomoo, you can't use any layer styles or any effects, so doing this is quite difficult, and it is a poor man's bevel rather than a really nice looking bevel, but still can solve some problems. So let's see. First of all, this is the text I have, and I'm going to duplicate it twice. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to color one of these in a bright color, and the other one is just going to be black. Okay, and the light is coming from the right, so if this word is embedded in the plank, the highlight should be on the top left. So I'm going to move that layer top left, and I'm going to just make sure that it's behind everything else. Okay, and then the other layer, the dark layer, that's going to go bottom right. Okay, so that's essentially it. That's the poor man's bevel, but it still doesn't look right. So one thing we can do is play with transparency a little bit. Blur will, of course, would have helped a great deal. That's one thing. And the other thing, which was really going to help a lot, is well, first of all, if the text didn't exist where there's no plank, and if we can get some of the grain from the wood into the text. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my static background, and I'm going to duplicate it, place it up top here, and I'm going to call this static foreground. Okay, so now I've got my static foreground. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use a very simple keyer, say color range, and I'm going to key out all of the blue. This way I'm going to make sure that we're only going to have the text where there is a plank, and that should do it. Now I need the invert of this, so I'm going to grab an invert effect. Of course I can use effects here because we're working on a static layer. Okay, so that's going to ensure that, as you can see here, we're now drawing where there's no plank. Okay, the next thing is I want a little bit of grain. So I'm just going to duplicate the original layer, and I'm going to grab an extract tool, and I'm going to make it nice and soft and just grab a little bit. There we go. And then I'm going to do it again, and again I'm going to add that dark bit of grain here as well. Okay, and if I look here now, I've got all this nice texture coming through. Okay, so I can, now that I'm zoomed in, I can have a little play with how thick I want the bevel to be. Maybe I want a little bit more dark and a little bit less light. And there we go. This looks a lot more like it's embedded in the wood, and that's how you'd go about it. Thanks for taking the time to watch this. Hopefully we're going to have a bevel effect that you can use in the near future.